Welcome to the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast, where we talk all things Panther City Lacrosse Club. Now here are your hosts, Nicholas and Andy.
Could Panther City complete the sweep and secure that 3-spot even tighter? Or would the surging Desert Dogs come in and spoil the night for Panther City? Welcome everyone. This is the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast. I'm Nicholas, joined by Andy.
Hello.
Las Vegas, came into town this last Saturday night looking kind of to play spoil against Panther City and get some payback for some early losses at the beginning of the year. But Panther City, coming off that bye week, really wanted to try to keep their momentum going. Obviously going into the bye week with a win, but trying to get another win to like I said, hold that 3-spot even tighter.
Yeah, and you've got the two youngest teams in the league, the two newest teams in the league. It's not quite a rivalry just yet, but obviously they want to find success where they can get it. And Panther City is obviously trying to solidify that spot to lock them in for the playoffs. This was their first game against Las Vegas with what's more of a new look offense, with Callum Crawford being a big part since he wasn't on the team yet those first two games.
Mm-hmm.
And both teams have two dynamic rookies on each of them. Jack Hanna was actually a 2021 pick, the same draft that Donville was a draft pick by Panther City. However, he was not protected in the expansion draft, so Las Vegas plucked him from our roster. And he's having a great season, just like Donville.
And both of them are playing at high level. It just, again, kind of goes to show you about how young these teams are and how they're definitely different teams. I mean, we talked about last week, Las Vegas coming in was a different team this time, and Panther City, I think, they're still the better team, but Las Vegas is still a pain in the side. Well, of course, I mean, this game kind of started out with almost a highlight of the night and a highlight in somebody's career, but just like a few minutes in, Callum Crawford, he gets an early goal that makes 450 goals in his career. Again, being in the league this long, he's only, I believe, the 11th player to have that honor.
Yeah, the list isn't long, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so, and I kind of joked with you when you got there about how I called it kind of an old man goal. It was just, I don't know if you saw it on the replay, but he was kind of going in, he was getting denied, and so he kind of steps back, and instead of like passing it over or trying to get like a side shot off or something, he does this thing where he just kind of jumps up and just easily throws it over the defender, and it goes straight into the goal. And I'm like, that's something an older or a veteran player would think of that maybe a younger person might not think of.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it's like, wow, surely you'd see that more often in lacrosse, but there's only one Callum Crawford, that's for sure.
I mean, again, with a nickname Showtime, you're always in for something for him. But yeah, that marks 450 in his career. Again, hats off to Callum Crawford. I'm glad he's with Panther City to hit all these milestones. But yeah, so we start off on the right foot. We get an early goal, but Vegas answered back pretty fast. And again, this was a different team, and they were able to keep it close early on for sure. And especially their defense. Their defense was really playing good that first quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their goalie, Kells, I believe his name is. He had a lot of good saves. Damute had a lot of good saves too, but he was kind of giving up what we in a way could call his trademark early ones, just to get those first quarter jitters out of the system.
Right. Well, and speaking of which, I mean that was like, because they got another goal pretty fast after that first one, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These, after Crawford scored, Zach Greer hit one. He was set up by Hellier. That was like less than a minute after Crawford's, and then within the next 5 minutes, Phillips scored as well from the right side.
Yeah, and like you said, it's kind of a calling card, unfortunately, for Daymud so far this year, which again is a good thing and a bad thing. He's able to kind of bounce back from those slow starts. But yeah, so Vegas goes up 2-1 against us, and then possibly the man of the night going on here, but Medeiros gets a good transition play tied it up 2-2, which was really good for us. But I hate to cut it short, but Vegas cut it short. Not even the announcer could get done announcing our goal, and then Vegas scored again right before the end of the first, going up 3-2.
Yeah, we have a joke of calling it an announcer jinx, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like whenever the announcer takes a little bit more time to say who got the assist or who scored, there are a lot of times where the opponent seems to net a goal before he can finish. But hey, it happens now and then. It's just a little bit amusing. And so yeah, as he was talking, Jack Hanna did go 1-on-1 with Tony Malk for a pretty nice score past Nick Damude. And as the quarter ended, he actually also had a behind the goal dunk on Damude off of Lucy. But thankfully, replay showed that he stepped on the crease. So instead of coming out of the first in a 3-2 hole, in a 4-2 hole, we were only down 3-2.
Yeah, and I remember they were taking their time on that one too, just to kind of review it because it was on the back line and you couldn't quite make it, but then there was a certain angle where you could see just like the edge of his foot touching the line before he went to try to go for that dunk. So, you hate to say, you take a goal off due to the rules and the technicality, but it was kind of good that it happened in our favor.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll take it if it affects us positively.
Right. Well, yeah, we ended the first quarter down 3-2. Second quarter, second quarter was a little different for us. We still had some problems, I guess, passing the ball cleanly. Uh, Offense just still wasn't kind of getting together at the beginning of the second quarter. But yeah, we finally get a goal that ties us back up at least, and then shortly after that, I think we had I forget who the penalty was on, but we had a power play, and Vegas again. Vegas had been taking control of or taking
Advantage.
yeah, they've been taking advantage of every shot that they've gotten that night, and this was of course another case of them, finding their way to fight through and keep it close and getting that goal on that power play.
Yeah, I don't remember what Burns was called for, but it did lead to power play that it seemed like we were going to kill off, but they managed to net one. And credit to Las Vegas, they are actually third in the league in power play goals, despite having a much lower number of opportunities. I think they have just a little more than half of the opportunities Panthers had this year, but they seem to be converting them at a pretty good rate.
Right, and it's funny that you talked about them Panther City being able to kill off that penalty because it was only in the last like 15 or 20 seconds that they got that goal, the power play. We were actually really doing really well and getting a couple of breakaways and keeping the ball away from them. We almost had a goal on one of them, but it was just a quick shot, and then they bounced back on offense. But I thought we were really good at killing the time on the penalty. Unfortunately, we just couldn't finish it off. But shortly after that, yeah, it's like Panther City again. They hit these little runs, and it always comes when you don't expect it. Next thing that happens, Caputo gets a goal. We're tied up 4-4. We're like, yeah, that's good. We're tied back up, and seconds. I'm literally seconds later, face off. Burton. He's like, yep, I'm gonna take this in myself.
Man, that was a beauty to watch. I think that's the first time he's done that this season. For one, we probably have less than a. It's very safe to say we have a less than 50% success rate on faceoff. So
Right.
the first nice surprise was like, nice, Burton got the faceoff win, and he just took it in himself and scored right on Kells, and yeah, that got the crowd standing up because it was literally less than 10 seconds after celebrating Caputo's goal.
Oh yeah, it was quick too, because like I remember we like sat down, and next thing you know, I was like, oh hey, what? There's another goal,
Yeah, standing back up, holding up the flag.
right? So that was a really good momentum shift for us. I mean, him getting the goal like that, and then the next face off was was one that I won't soon forget. The face off happens, and Medeiros gets knocked down to the ground. I mean, you can
Yes.
tell like he's in pain. He's kind of like slow getting up. He's even kind of like drawn at the ref, hey, like where's the call kind of thing.
Hmm.
And while all that is going on, Vegas is on offense trying to get a shot off. They get a shot. Damude blocks it, and it's one of those times that something bad that happened 2 seconds ago worked in our favor because Medeiros was like already at half field, and Damude blocks the shot. He sees him down there, and he just passes down to Medeiros, and Medeiros is like, okay, fine, my chin straps off. I don't care. I'm gonna go score this goal anyway. And so he shoves down there, and he gets the goal, and it just like from an attitude standpoint that he turned it on right there.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can knock me down, but you're not going to stop me. And it's funny, he didn't even get. You could tell he was still mad about the hit because it didn't seem like he was really celebrating the goal much. He scored it, just kind of was mean mugging the ref, and had, I'm sure, a few choice words for him. Later on, his teammates came and got him, and put him in a better mood to say. But yeah, that was a great recovery off of what looked like a pretty tough hit.
Oh yeah, and yeah, it's kind of funny you said that because he scored the goal and then he's like pointing at the player that hit him and then he's like talking to the ref. I'm like, dang man, like calm down, it's okay, you got the goal. We can let the penalty slide this once. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how that played out. But yeah, we went on a good little 3-0 run there in the second quarter, and that's really again, it's something that's happened in previous games with us where we go on these little mini runs, and it kind of puts us in a different spot that we were mere minutes before.
Mm-hmm. And we managed to tack on one more goal before the quarter ended and held Las Vegas to just the single goal that Phillips had off the power play. Damude had a lot of great body blocks throughout, and eventually the offense was clicking again with Will Malcolm kind of working a two-man game with John Donville to one of his patented overhead goals from the right side. So the offense, while at times still seeming maybe a bit rusty from the bye week and a little out of sorts, they did string together some nice moments here and there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we go into the halftime, up 7-4. I mean, I guess kind of an overview of the first half. I mean, what was your thoughts about that first half for Panther City?
Well, and this is something that they mentioned on the replay a lot too. The 5-on-5 offense for Panther City, yeah, it did score now and then, but it seemed like the bulk of the goals came in transition, whether it be Medeiros, even Burton, or from the offenses that they were subbing for the defense onto the field. Everything was kind of more fast break oriented. And the statistics from the first half really bore this out as well. Vegas really won the statistical battle in terms of having more blocked shots, more face-offs won, more loose balls, less turnovers than us. However, we did have four more saves, 18-14, and those saves were key in helping us get the transition offense going off of nice Damude blocks.
Mm-hmm. Well, and speaking of that, I mean, it was very fortunate for us to have that second quarter. Coming into halftime up 7-4, we were feeling good about ourselves. But the third quarter was kind of a different story. I mean, Vegas. I think Vegas was the team that got the good halftime speech this time because they came out, firing on all cylinders for sure. They score pretty much within the first, I think, 5 or 6 minutes, a couple of goals to pull close. I mean, they were pulling within one at 7-6, and their defense was playing really good during that time too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zach Greer went on a little mini run where he scored a diving goal in transition and then another overhead goal for a hat trick. And he's kind of not maybe not quite the caliber of a Callum Crawford in terms of reputation or statistics, but he is kind of one of the heady vets that this Desert Dogs team has. And the commentators did talk about how much he's meant to this team and helping them give them that steady veteran presence on offense.
Oh yeah, yeah. It just goes again. It just says a lot about just Vegas as a team. This is their first year, just like we were last year, but they're definitely a down and not out kind of mentality going into these last games. But then we finally had our turnaround, and it's the rookie that doesn't get as much of the limelight, but Gaucher. That was I I won't forget that shot either. I mean, he was going down. He There was like a wide shot to the left of the goal and came back, and Gaucher was able to get a hold of it off of a loose ball, and he kind of like spins and shoots as he's spinning, and he got the goal. And I was like, dang man, that was really nice.
I feel like he's had at least two or three of those this year where he's able to rebound either a miss or a loosey, and he just does kind of almost like a basketball post up where he kind of maybe jukes one way or does a quick spin move before the defense and the goalie can react. So yeah, really nice work again by Gaucher.
Well, yeah, and you know we've talked about Gaucher before. He takes advantage of the time that he's given. This was definitely a night that he was taking advantage of that. But then you know, of course, Vegas was keeping it close. They got a really good breakaway goal after that. You know, so the third quarter, I wish it would have went better because we only got one goal out of the whole thing.
Yeah, we like you mentioned that second quarter was really that was necessary considering how hot Vegas was in the third, since it narrowed our lead to 8-7. And there were good moments within that third quarter. I know there was one point where Medeiros got decked again and hit the ground, was slow to get up, but he was able to force another turnover just a
Hmm.
minute later for a nice transition shot on goal. Now we didn't score out of it, but the effort was still there, so you like to see that. It's just that, like you said, the Desert Ducks probably got a halftime earful from their coach, and they responded in a good way for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you know, and then going into the fourth, it was a close game, which you know Vegas has been showing that they can handle the last 3 or 4 weeks, and but then Phil Caputo, he was quiet most of the night. He only had that one goal earlier, I believe, but you know he got an early goal, puts us up, and then another guy who's kind of been quiet the last few games but still a force to be reckoned with. Dodds get us another goal, and so it's like we were waiting until the last minute to kind of try to pull away, and it was again glad to have those players kind of show up when they need to.
Yeah, they definitely helped give us enough of a cushion to work with. And then from that point on, a lot of our offense, I'm not going to say we weren't playing aggressively, but you could tell we were trying to work the clock down to to all 30 seconds with almost each of our possessions to limit the amount of possessions that the Desert Dogs would have to catch up. They did score in transition after um Donville's goal. Donville had a really nice goal off of that Patrick Dodds assist where he faked a wind up. It was very reminiscent of Ricky Dodds when he was running the point. So it's nice to
Mhm.
know that Doddsy still has that in him. But yeah, Hellier scored in transition shortly after that. And from then on, it was just kind of like buckle up and hope that the defense can play solid enough or the offense could put a few more points on the board. The latter didn't quite happen, but thankfully the defense was steady.
Yeah, and our defense stayed steady. I mean, which is really important down that last, especially that last 5 minutes when they were. It seemed like Vegas was pressuring us pretty much the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, of course, as we're getting close to the end of the game, they start, pulling their goalie and trying some things there, which of course led to Medeiros getting his hat trick for the night, off of an empty netter with an assist from Daymud. I mean, I think Medeiros had the roughest night and probably the best night at the same
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah. He must like to play angry.
No, seriously, like he was fighting and he was on the ground and he was slow, left and right. It seemed like the whole game, but still got a hat trick, and that pretty much kind of sealed the win for us. I mean, we ended up winning, of course, 11-8. Um, your prediction came true. Daymud keeps them to single digits. Not
Yes.
as much as they, again, like we mentioned, not as much as they were in Vegas, but he keeps them under double digits, which says a lot to, of course, him. Having rebounds after that first quarter.
Yeah, he did an excellent job. In the fourth, he did have a kind of a comical block where the Desert Dogs are trying to go 5-hole on him, and he just kind of like either sat or squatted on the ball like as it came in, and you couldn't really tell whether it was past him or not. But he kind of like did like two or three little scoots out of the net to kind of be like, "Hey, see, you didn't make it in."
Right? He knew the ball was in there somewhere, but he was just kind of like, nope, I'm gonna scoot out and make sure nobody calls it.
Yeah, it was like a little baby bunny hopping forward or something. It's pretty funny.
Well, and we haven't talked about that before, but I wonder how often that happens where a ball will get caught in the goalie's, pads and stuff, and then the goalie either falls back into the goal. Because I feel like that's something you could probably challenge or something that doesn't happen a lot, but it seems like it could happen a lot.
I know there was one previous game this season where either he caught it and then the whistle blew and then it inadvertently rolled behind him into the net, but at that point it's a non-scorable goal.
Right.
So there are certain rules regarding that. We've definitely seen at least one, maybe two moments this year where Damude has a great save initially, but then turns his shoulder or does something where it falls
Hmm.
back. And I'm sure it's something that unfortunately every goalie in the league experiences at some point.
Oh yeah, well, and they have to because I mean they're just constantly getting shot on by that rubber ball.
Yeah.
But no, I mean he really buckled down after that first quarter, so that was really good to see. Overall, I just I said it before. This wasn't the same Vegas team. This wasn't the same team we saw in the first 2 weeks. They were much improved. They were willing to keep everything close, and they honestly had a really good game against us, even though they didn't win.
Yeah, they didn't quite get over the hump. You're not going to win many games scoring just 8 goals, but granted, you might not win a whole lot of games scoring 11 goals either. But that just kind of goes to show you how much of a defensive struggle this was for both teams.
Yeah. Do you feel? I mean, I didn't add this in the notes, but do you kind of feel like because we talked about the addition of Crawford and he wasn't there at the beginning of the year? Do you feel like that kind of made a little bit of a difference in this game? I mean, obviously he got the first goal, but just kind of that experience being in there.
I think so, because even though he had a quiet night statistically with just that one goal and no assists, and he had a high turnover night as well, the defense is forced to respect him whenever he's out there. And so that opens up opportunities for other people. Now again, the transition and fast break game did play a bigger part in the offense against Las Vegas than it usually does. So that is a credit to the Desert Dogs defense. But in terms of just the attention that Callum Crawford commands just by virtue of being out there and what he's accomplished in his career this season, just overall, it can only help you when he's out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there was even one spot I kind of forgot about this, but there was one spot where he was kind of going in and he turned and he almost just like elbowed the player, the Vegas player in the head or something, and
Mm.
they were like, nope, can't do that. I was like, oh, what? They were playing the ball. They were playing the ball. I promise.
Yeah, one of those wily veteran moves.
Right, and sometimes he can get away with it, sometimes not. But from Panther City side, uh, still some things, we're still not on the same page with. It just seemed like there was still some sloppy play here and there, not as much as last game, and so I think that's kind of an improvement, obviously, coming from that bye week where everybody got to rest up, everybody kind of got you know back together and figure out what things to work on. But it's a testament to Panther City again, constantly adjusting.
Yeah, yeah. When the offense wasn't clicking, they were able to get goals elsewhere, and the defense, of course, Nick Damude and the rest of the guys did a very good job after that first quarter of limiting Las Vegas's points.
For sure. Well, of course, we talked about our win against Vegas, helping us keep a little bit tighter hold on that 3 spot. But it is that time of the episode. It's Mr. Andrews' stats of the game. Mr. Andrew, what stats do you have for us against Vegas?
Well, Mr. Nicholas, I actually have quite a few for this one. We already talked about Nick Damude. He had a good save percentage in this game. There were 43 shots on goal. He saved 35 of them, over 80%. He was about 81. That's what you like to see out of your goalie. By that same token, I think Landon Kells had his was in the mid 70s, if I'm not mistaken. So that discrepancy definitely worked in Panther City's favor. Las Vegas did outblock us quite a bit. That's one thing that you noticed early. It wasn't. I don't know whether we were necessarily getting bad quality of shots, but Las Vegas was active enough to where defenders were actually getting in front of those shots and kind of sacrificing their body to help protect the goal. There were a lot of turnovers throughout the game as well. Las Vegas had 30 of them, Panther City had 34. And one thing that I did notice kind of tied to those turnovers, at halftime we were tied 3-3 on Cauda's turnovers. However, we ended the game with 13 compared to Las Vegas's 8. So they definitely upped the ante once the second half started in terms of playing more aggressive defense, getting in passing lanes, just with some nice effective hard checks on the Desert Dogs. On another thing, there were like no penalties this game compared to previous ones. Obviously, we had the one a while back against Colorado where there's penalties galore, but this one there was only one minor penalty for each team. I know Burns had the check from behind, which ended up with Desert Dogs power play goal, and then the Desert Dogs had an illegal substitution. We didn't capitalize on that, but it was kind of nice to see a more or less. Don't get us wrong; it was a physical game, but it seemed relatively clean.
Yeah, and I even talked about that after the game, and it's just weird because when you have a clean game like that and everything's moving and there's not a whole lot of stoppages, that game is really short. like 2. I think I had mentioned it. It's like 2 hours 20 minutes tops. That's including halftime. But when everything's moving and everything's fast paced, but when you don't have those constant stoppages and those constant fouls or something going on, that game flew by.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was something that I would say after the past few contests we've seen, we were not quite accustomed to.
For sure. Yeah, and it's good. You mentioned it before. It's good to see kind of a clean game like that where you don't have to have all that going on and all these power plays to either get a shot or get a chance to go ahead. Well, of course, that is Mr. Andrews' stats of the game. Thank you for those. We get to our next part. I mean, this was a night for a lot of people. It seemed like everything was kind of spread around. But of course, we're going to have to talk about our Cool Cat plays of the game. For me, I think for me, the play of the game was Medeiros. Medeiros getting knocked down right there in the middle. And then he got up and he kind of wanted to prove a point. And that point was, hey, I'm going to score a goal whether you knock me out or not. That was for me the play of the game. What about for yourself?
That Medeiros goal would have been an honorable mention for me. The Matthew Gaucher rebound and putback goal is another honorable mention. But I got to give our face-off guy, Tyler Byrne, I got to give him some love for winning the face-off and then taking it to the house himself. You could tell he was pumped up about it. And the fact that came less than 10 seconds after Phil Caputo's goal to tie the game, it just got the crowd pumped up that much more and got the team pretty happy too.
Well, and again, it kind of shows where he's, keeps stepping up his game for sure. Well, of course, those are our Cool Cat plays of the game, which leads us into the player, our Big Cat players of the game. I'll let you go first. Who's your Big Cat players of this game?
We've alluded to him several times during this episode, but Josh Medeiros has got to be the player. On a night when the offense just wasn't clicking at various points throughout the quarter, the transition game always was, or so it seemed. He netted 3 goals for the uncommon transition player hat trick. Got 6 loose balls on top of that, 1 caused turnover. His goals, again, were the difference in a game where the offense did have its dry spells.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it's that kind of a difference maker. I mean, again, they're coming from everywhere for this game, but having that kind of difference maker, help us kind of secure the win this time. For me, it's Gaucher again. I mean, Donville's gets all the limelight. Will Malcolm's in discussion for MVP of the year, but Gaucher has proven again and again. You give him a few minutes and he'll take advantage of every minute he's given. Every second he's out there, he's trying to get either pressure on the goal or pressure on their defense, or trying to pass to somebody else who has a better shot. He makes the best of every situation. And so, yeah, no, Gaucher, they even interviewed him at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like we were watching and we're like, who's out there talking? And it's Gaucher. Nice.
And we didn't even talk about his goal much, but he had a really great pick and roll with Will Malcolm, where he helped open up the lane for Malcolm, and then did an immediate cut to the goal where Malcolm was able to find him for one pretty close to the net. It was really heads up play by him.
Yeah, and so Gaucher had a really good night. I will say this. I do want to shout out to a couple other people and I'll say these are my honorary players of the game, but we have to give a shout out to some other players that maybe don't get as much recognition but are out there doing what they can, fighting with the team. I mean, the first one that comes to mind for me is Cameron Griniak. I mean, he almost got a goal that night. He was trying to do a putback shot, but just having somebody out there and maybe he's filling in because of Grinin's injury, or just kind of getting more time because of that, or because of the rotation. But people like him who are kind of the unsung heroes of the team. I mean, they're opening up lanes, they're setting blocks, they're doing everything else except for score sometimes. And so for me, I mean, honorary shout out to him and also the other players out there, making a difference that don't get as much recognition.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I wanted to give a shout out to, honestly, the entire defense, because they again, this was a more defensive oriented game, and they were obviously the main part of that. Matt Hossack's obviously the captain, kind of leading the team, but Foley, Burns, Patton, Sellers, they all did really good out there in keeping Las Vegas on their toes and not giving them any easy looks.
Yeah. So I mean, again, hats off to not only the whole team, but I mean, those of you who maybe don't get the spotlight as much. We see you out there. We see what you do for the offense and the defense. So, final thoughts on our game against Las Vegas?
Well, it was pretty physical yet relatively clean, and so, like you said, that made for something enjoyable without a lot of stoppages. But of course, lacrosse is a contact sport. You're still going to get a lot of body checks into the glass and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Fast break opportunities really made the difference on a night when the 5-on-5 offense didn't click for all 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
When the team allows less than 10 points, good things happen. Again, watching the replay, seeing the kind of nice rookie battle that Jack Hanna and Donville had was pretty interesting. One thing that the commentators did say, that Donville is the presumptive rookie of the year at this point. He has 67 points overall, 18 goals, and a staggering 49. Well, after last game, he is well over 50 assists. I think they said he's the 10th or 11th rookie to have that many. Hanna, he has 40 points total with 20 goals and 20 assists. And so he's having a really solid year for an expansion team that might not have the same pieces around him that Donville might. So it was a fun debate to hear the announcing team kind of discuss Hanna and Donville's strengths. Hanna very much is maybe more in the mold of a one man show, a la Jeff Teat, where he's just kind of forced to do more. But by that same token, you can say, if you say Donville has a greater supporting cast, then you're like, well, how much of that is the supporting cast being better, or Donville getting them easier looks, making the right reads, and so forth. So it's always fun to have those debates.
Yeah, and as we learned recently, Donville's a kind of a double threat guy. He's good at the sports, but he's also a brilliant mind out there. So
yes,
yeah, I mean, running for Rookie of the Year. I mean, yes, I would hope that he's up there. If not the one to win for this year, he's definitely in discussion for it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, same thing. You just look at this team and the steps we continue to make. A sweep against Las Vegas. Again, it's showing those games that we're supposed to win, that we're winning in the fashion that we need to win them. So, well, we leave, of course, Las Vegas kind of behind us for good. We never see them again for the rest of this year, unless they somehow make a miraculous run to the playoffs. But we look forward to this weekend's game, and this weekend's game is gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a tough one. We are looking ahead to Friday night lights. Against the division leading San Diego Seals. Whew, I don't. Where to even start? Their last game against each other was February 4th, in San Diego. We didn't have the pieces. We didn't have the team that we have now. We were short on people, and somehow we were able to keep it close, only losing 12-10. That was a night when Gaucher. I mean, we had that watch party over there in Fort Worth, and Gaucher really stepped up in that game. But now he's got some other pieces to play with.
Yeah, it is funny just thinking about how much the team has changed since that moment. I know Crawford was out, Caputo was out, Burns was out. Jake Fox was the only real vet on offense that played, and
Mm-hmm.
that was literally, I think, his second game with the team.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's the first quarter really hurt us in the first meeting in San Diego because we San Diego outscored us 4-1. From then on, it was a bit more even throughout. So that early hole is something that we're gonna have to look to correct in this next one.
Oh yeah, and the Seals are coming in. I mean, they only have two losses, or yeah, two losses, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. Ranked number one in a lot of power rankings. And their last game was against Vancouver, coming off a big win, 16-9 there. It's going to be tough for Panther City. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be one of the games where we're just going to have to kind of buckle down. We're at home. We should use that momentum to put on not only a good game offensively but defensively as well. Uh, a win would obviously put us closer to that 2 spot. But it all comes down to, I think, offense production from us, because it's like you said, it's a different offensive team since the last time they saw us, and I think we have to kind of show them that, hey, last time you guys got away with a win, but not by much. This time it's going to be a different story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, San Diego, it is really hard to their offense, I would say, is more or less, they've got so much talent on that side of the ball
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to get their points. It's pretty much a three-headed monster with Dane Dobby, Curtis Dixon, Wesley Berg, and then you have Austin Stotts as well, and they all did damage against Panther City in the first game. So having Crawford in there, having Caputo in there as well. Not sure about Grennan's condition, but having those veterans in that game is going to be real key because yeah, like you said, we only really had the young guys the first time
Mm-hmm.
we faced them besides Fox.
Oh yeah, yeah. But even then, we were able to hang tight with them, which kind of shows a lot of where our team was even 2 months
Mm-hmm.
ago. But I had mentioned this to you before, but another thing to kind of keep in mind: San Diego, this is their doubleheader weekend. They have a game Friday
Yes.
night, and then they turn right around and have another game Saturday night. Uh, Not only against just any team, but they are going against the East leading Buffalo Bandits, and the Bandits are coming off of a home loss against, their rematch against Colorado last weekend, their finals rematch, in a game which a lot of people thought Buffalo was just going to run over Colorado because of the position where Colorado is right now in their year. But man, Colorado showed up and Buffalo was not too happy about that. So I don't know. A part of me thinks, is San Diego looking ahead to that and maybe overlooking us slightly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that because they do want to measure the given the position that they're in, they likely want to measure themselves up to to, at least on paper, what's the best team in the league right now. And that best team in the league is going to come in angry and be like, hey, last week was a fluke. We're
Hmm.
still the best team in the league with the reigning MVP and whatnot. Looking at the standings, it is kind of interesting. San Diego has played two fewer games than both, not only Panther City, but also Calgary, which sits in second in the West. So their win percentage is somewhat misleading. And if you look at the goal differentials between San Diego, Calgary, and Panther City, Calgary actually has the best goal differential. They have 100. They've scored 159 and only allowed 123. San Diego's allowed 150 and 132, and they've played 11 games.
Hmm.
Whereas Panther City in 13 games has scored 157 and allowed 135. So San Diego, I'd say they're a team that scores a lot, but can be prone to give up a lot as well. We've brought up before how they've dealt with some inconsistency at goalie, kind of trying to decide between Chris Origlieri and Frank Scigliano. I think they've gone with Frank the past three games that they've improved on. It seemed like he had lost his spot early in the season, but yeah, we gotta hope that those inconsistencies play to our advantage.
Right. Well, and again, just like Panther City being home, I think just does kind of give them that extra push that hopefully will kind of get them over the hump. Um, well, I mean, looking at this game, I mean, what are your predictions and what's your score for this game?
Well, sorry to say, but I don't think Nick Damian's going to hold San Diego under
He's not
in
going to hold
double.
them in single digits.
I don't think he will this game. Um, but I like our chances to avenge that first loss to them, especially when we fought back from that early hole to end up losing only by 2 points and just having time run out. So I think at home with Crawford there, with Caputo back, I think we're going to manage to squeeze out a close victory.
Okay. What's your score prediction?
15-14.
15-14. Okay. Well, you're kind of reading my mind a little bit because um I feel like this game can go this is another game where it can go one of two ways. It's either San Diego goes Dennis Green on us and shows us they are who we thought they were, and just kind of shoves it down our throat and beats us by like 8, or we keep it close, we hang with them, and I'm gonna say yes, 15-14 as well because that's the score that I was thinking of. I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna say
Oh,
overtime we win 15-14.
wow. That would
I'm
be awesome.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be. I'm hoping it's that kind of a game where it's just back and forth the whole time, and regulation isn't long enough for us. We gotta go to overtime.
Have we
Uh,
wait, have we seen an overtime game live yet? I'm trying to think.
um, not this season. There was an overtime game last year. I got to see. It was one of their home
The
games.
Okay,
They
was that Colorado or
was it Colorado? No, I think it was. Who was that? I
okay.
want to say it was Calgary. Honestly.
Well, no worries. But yeah, I like your prediction for the sense that it'd be fun to see an overtime game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I've seen one yet.
Well, and this would be the game to do it. I mean, if you're going to go against the number one team, ranked number one team in the NLL, I mean, this would be the time to show up and say, hey, we're still here. I know a lot of people saying like if Panther City was to pull off a win, they shoot up the rankings. Honestly, I think they're in better position than some of the other teams that they've been listing off. If you pay attention to our Instagram or Facebook posts, I obviously, try to put in our Panther City name in there in the standings. But yeah, no, 15-14. I'm going to say an overtime win. We can only hope. I can only hope.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Well, of course, I mean, looking forward to that. We do have some other, again, just like it seems like every time we're getting ready to record or the day of that we're recording, there's new news. There's something else that happens. Today was no different. As we were kind of getting everything ready for tonight, we get the news that there was another trade by Panther City. This time to the Philadelphia Wings, and we traded away Liam Burns to Philadelphia for a second round selection in the 2023 draft. Again, it goes hand in hand with Panther City looking for the future, getting those young people in there. But Liam Burns, that's kind of I think one of the bigger. I mean, ever since Thompson was traded, that's kind of the bigger name that's kind of been traded away, and I don't know. It seems like it's something that could affect the team. Obviously, we talked about like just this team getting to know each other and being around each other more. But I don't know. Liam Burns off to Philadelphia. What do you think?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising. He was second on the team, right under Captain Matt Hosick in terms of caused turnovers, so he's doing a good job when he's out there. Part of me thinks this is partly because the price tag in terms of draft capital was so high for Callum Crawford that the the front office is trying to kind of restock on those picks for the future and in years to come. And we do have a nice stable of defenders that can fill in a slot. Brooker Muir has made good things happen when
Mm-hmm.
he's out there. Ronan Pusch, I think he only played it in one game so far this year, but he's another guy that can go out there. It is interesting timing. Well, granted, it was the deadline, but that's to trade away an integral part of a defense before you've got to face teams like not just San Diego this coming week, but
Mm-hmm.
Calgary after that. It'll be interesting how the team adjusts.
Oh yeah, because they're going to have to adjust. I mean, like you said, these are some heavy hitting offenses that are coming against us the next 3 or 4 weeks. So uh, we wish Liam the best of luck
Mm-hmm.
in Philadelphia. Obviously, we hate to see any of players go, but it was just kind of shocking news today, I guess, and it just kind of threw me for a loop, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I figured we were done making any splashes, but some GMs get a bit antsy or feel
Yeah,
like there are moves that they can do to improve the team, especially come deadline time. So
yeah.
hopefully it works out for the best for both parties.
Well, and like you said, they're playing with a lot of that draft capital, and they're trying to get those picks, as many as they can stocked up for the future. So, again, good luck to Burns out there in Philadelphia. Well, that leads us to, of course, I mean, this coming Friday, it is Hispanic Heritage Night, so be sure to get out there and get there early for the game. I can only, like I said before, I can only hope for a win. I hope for a good game. I hope for an entertaining game. But please be sure to get out there, support Panther City, and yeah, of course, we want to come out of this with not only a win, but with a chance to maybe take that two spot. Of course, thank you guys, again for listening. We thank you as always for being with us on this season. But will Panther City take yet another step closer to getting the playoffs? I guess we have to wait and see. Thank you guys. This is the Cowtown Cast Lacrosse podcast. I'm Nicholas.
And I'm Andy.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys and have a good night.
Cheers, y'all.